All right, John, welcome to Whilton Mill Club 100. It is the penultimate round of the 2023 season. We're on the Zulu layout of Whilton today, the slightly shorter one, which I don't mind which variation, to be fair, they're both quite fun. But we're going to go straight into Heat 1 here, starting in P9. And as usual, the inside row gets quite a nice getaway there. And trying to avoid the wet patch that's on the inside, as you can see as Dean Everest slid over it there. It was slightly damp at the start of this day. We're trying to get through the middle of a few people there, and we are going to gain one position. And we're going to try and follow Sam Lovelace through there on Dean, and we've got it done. So not a bad start to the first heat here. Still quite a few people to get through though, as we're going down the Zulu layout now, giving Sam a nice little push there. And we can see that there's a few people going side by side. So me and Sam completely sacrificed the first part of the boot to get a run out of the second. And it completely pays off because we slipped down the inside of two people into the last corner and get him to fifth. So great first lap there. And me and Sam working well together there. The two Goat Farm members, as George Lawler runs a little bit wide out of turn one, and Sam's going to get past him, and I'm looking to follow Sam everywhere he goes here. So I'm going to stick one down the inside of the Zulu hairpin and get into fourth. Running slightly deep there, but yeah, a good getaway on this one. And slight gap to Sam now. But feeling good after that start. And I think we're slightly caught Sam through there actually. So we'll see how we can get on for the rest of the race. But we're about to see now the sort of theme of the first part of this video. Excuse me, as we skip on. And there's a yellow flag there, as you can see. And I take, a normal amount of speed through, and I see the incident on the left. I put my hand up and carry on. It wasn't any overtaking or anything, but that actually on this day was going to be enough to be penalised for speeding under yellows, and they were really strict with it on this day. I'm not sure why it suddenly changed, but we'll talk about it later on, as we've got the leaders starting to battle now. So me and Sam have closed on them a little bit. Not much left in the race, so we're going to have to get a move on. But it is starting to close up at the front here. It's Chris Powell leading from Ashley White. And me and Sam have managed to just about get there. Is it going to be too little too late though? We will see. I think there's only a couple of laps left here. And going into the first corner, as I say, still a little bit damp, so we're sort of riding the brake there just to see if we can carry a bit of speed without going wide. And Sam actually touched the wet patch there, and that gave me a little bit of a run on him. Not close enough though, but we are now, and we are going to seize the opportunity and get down the inside of Sam Lovelace into the Zulu hairpin, which felt quite good because obviously the previous round didn't go so well for me with the weird tarmac at Ella Park, and Sam actually won the A final there, so fair play to him. But it was good to know that it was back to normal on this day, and I had the pace once again, as we are now going to go on to the final lap. And Chris Powell's got a little bit of a gap to Ashley White, but we're going to see if we can close them down. But I don't think I'm really going to be close enough with the gap we've got unless these two start battling. So we're pushing and pushing, but these are both class 1 guys. I'm not just going to suddenly fly past both of them. And we are running out of corners now. But Ashley White has managed to catch Chris Powell there, and I think Chris is now starting to get a bit worried about his P1 and goes very defensive into the boot, and actually causes Ashley to get quite bogged down. And I couldn't really get up the inside. I wasn't close enough, so I tried to push him and get a cut back when we got really close towards the line, but we couldn't quite manage it. So we did cross the line third, but as I said, with that penalty for the yellow flag incident, we actually finished fifth. which I wasn't really sure why we got penalised for that all of a sudden. Apparently, it was because we had to lift off half a second off our usual pace, which I don't remember getting told that, but anyway, we're going into the second heat here, and the problems will rise again as we have a decent start from 4th and get into P3 off the first few corners. Andrew Rabbage in front of us, and we have Andrew Ward in the lead. And this race was honestly one of the most weird races I've been a part of, which, because you'll see what happens, but I've got a run on Andrew Rabbage there, and I'm already thinking, let's try and get past him and see if we can catch Andrew. And as we go into the next lap, we are pushing Andrew Rabbage along, and there's another yellow here, so we have to lift. You can see on the right a little bit, I'm not on the full throttle. I was lifting down that straight, and again there's more yellows, and I'm braking. I'm barely moving. I'm just coasting around the corner, and Andrew Rabbage gets a run away from me there as the guy was spun on the left hand side. And as I mentioned before, apparently you had to lift off half a second off your best lap time, but I didn't really understand that, because that was a half second over the whole lap, which the incident was only at one corner, and the track was improving conditions all the time, so obviously over the entire lap it wasn't going to be a representative time, half a second. It should have just been sectors or off visual, whether the people were lifting off or not overtaking, as we've got Chris Powell down the inside of us as I'm waffling on. But anyway, I'd sort of accepted that I got a penalty in the first one and realised that I had to lift off for the yellows later on, as there's more yellows here, as I'm sort of was a little bit baffled with all the yellows going on and got done by Chris Woodger. But then as soon as he got past me, I tried to get a run on him again, and there's more yellows out, so I don't know who's throwing it off on this day, but obviously some people were struggling to keep it on the track. But anyway, now we haven't got a yellow flag, and I'm going to throw it back down the inside of Chris Woodger, because I think I had the pace on him, to be honest. He just caught me a little bit off guard. But Chris decides he doesn't want to work with me and throws it back down the inside, even though I was going defensive, and then gave me the push signal. The absolute audacity. Now, to be fair, he's entitled to battle me, but if he's going to give me the push signal, then I don't really know why he's decided to throw it down the inside of such a small gap, as we've got more yellow flags. So that is just fantastic. And as you can see, I'm just lifting off again. Chris has completely gapped me there, because I just don't want to risk another penalty. They clearly were quite harsh on this particular event, so I was just making sure that I wasn't going to be penalised again in this one. And basically that's why this race was so weird, because I was constantly attacking all the corners and basically giving up positions. And I'm sitting here in 4th place, knowing that I probably have a slight pace advantage on the couple in front of me. And yeah, I'm still sat here in 4th place. So we'll see what we can do for the rest of the race. But we have now got a run on Chris Woodger again after all that time, and we are this time going to stop it on the apex and make sure that he knows to work with us, and he obliges this time, and we move along trying to catch up Andrew Rabbage. But after all this shenanigans have gone on, it's kind of ruined the rest of the race in terms of catching Andrew Ward, because he's absolutely disappeared up the road. and there's no chance of catching him. So now I've basically only got a maximum of second place, which, starting at the front for this one, I should have been in contention to win, but the circumstances just kind of took it away. And it sounds like I'm moaning a lot, but I'm not. Sometimes you have in weird circumstances and people, want to fight for their positions, but I want to always go forward personally. But we do get a run on Andrew Rabbage there, and I tried to throw it down the inside, but he does well to hold it, so I have to stop it. And I actually open my steering, and he sort of gets bogged down by going so tight, so I get a run on the cutback down the inside into the last corner, and that was a really good move there. And they thought so too on Alpha Live, because it was being streamed this round, as we'll watch the replay here. As I say, he did really well to hold it there, but it sort of stopped it almost too much, and I got a really good run and just about managed to shoo him away and take second place. But we are now going to skip to the end of the race. That's not Andrew Ward in front, that is a back marker. Andrew Ward is about 10 seconds of the road or something after everything that happened. But this is one of the other reasons why this race was so weird, because it did actually pay off all of my lifting for the yellow flags in this one. So I did listen to the rules, and Andrew Ward actually got penalised for speeding under yellows, which I have no idea if he was speeding or not because he was so far ahead, but I actually inherited the win from that one. So despite the race being very frustrating at the time, I did win the race, so that was weird. But anyway, moving into the third heat here, everyone jostling for position, and coming from 6th place on the grid, we're looking to move up a little bit, and we have got somebody down the inside of Christmas on the first lap, and we're trying to help Dean Everest get past Callum Martin. And Martin is ran a little bit wide there, but he's still on my inside coming into the Zulu section, and at this point I thought I had it, but to be fair to him, he stuck his nose in there and I had to back out. So we are going to stay in position 5 for now, and the front two are quite far ahead, to be fair. I think Rihanna Percox is one of them, so she's definitely going to be difficult to catch from this distance. I'm not quite sure he was in second place, and Callum Martin has managed now to get a run on Dean Everest, and we are going to see if we can follow through. And he goes defensive but leaves a slight gap, so I do stick it up the inside and get P4. And now there's a little bit of a gap to Callum Martin, but as you can see, a couple of laps later we did manage to catch that. And coming into the boot here, he's just going to miss his braking point slightly, and that'll give me the run, and I give him a bit of space on the inside, but we had the momentum to hold it, so we are into P3 now. And there's quite a long way left, but it is going to be too far to catch those gaps. And unfortunately, we didn't actually have much pace in this race. It was a bit strange. I couldn't really explain why, but yeah, as you can see here, we're having to go defensive a couple of laps from the end. And I think it's Callum Martin and I think it was Aaron Clark. We'll be able to see in a moment, but I am having to go extremely defensive, and we're going to go on to the final lap now, I believe. And as I say, I feel like they were all over me the last few laps here, so it wasn't the best in terms of pace from me in this one. And the track has dried out now, as you can see through that first corner, but we are going defensive into Christmas again, so the guys are all over me. And we're going defensive into the hairpin. And there's only really the boot now that they can get me at, but I make a silly mistake here and I get caught on the curb on the outside, and now I've got one of them down my inside and I'm sort of forced to chuck it around the outside. And here I thought I had it done, so I stopped on the apex and it felt like I got a little tap, And now both of them are going to throw it round either side of me because I got sort of lost momentum from the tap, and I was absolutely fuming at that. I didn't really know what just hit me. And I am going to drop 2 positions on the final corner and come 5th. And I was quite disappointed at that. We're going to watch the replay here as I run wide. And it is Callum Martin down the inside. And I tried to hold it. I'm watching it back. I don't really think I did get a tap, actually. Aaron Clark obviously makes a bit of contact with me there. But as you can see, I couldn't believe it from my reaction there. And unbelievably, as Jack Hickling goes for a bit of a spin there. But yeah, it somehow went south there. But anyway, we had to move on. P8 for the final here. And Harrison is going to show us an amazing pirouette there. And I don't think he was best pleased that I caught that on camera. But we are going to move on into the A final now, trying to quickly put that out of our heads. As I mentioned, starting 8th, got Yusuf, the GOAT, on the inside of me here. And you're not going to be able to see him because I'm going to throw it around the outside of him and get past him into the first corner. And all I've got to say to that is, as we go up the hill at Christmas on the first lap, trying to make up more ground, we've got Ed Bars on the outside, but can't quite get past him. We're going to try and follow Harrison around the outside, inside of him there, but Ed holds it. And that is how it's going to stay for the remainder of the opening lap here. And something to note for the start of this race is that Harrison had to change his kart in the practice session for the A final, which is why he was weaving so aggressively on the formation lap, which went well for him. But I did sort of had that in the back of my mind that his kart might not have been warm enough to go into the race here. And as you can see, he's pointing Ed Bars through here and he's clearly losing time down the straight. So that was in my mind, and I was thinking, I've got to get past him quickly because if his kart's cold, it is going to hold me up. And as you can see, I actually broke later than him and still got a better exit. So his kart is clearly struggling. And once again, I get another good run on him coming out of the Zulu complex, and I am going to launch it down the inside into the boot. And he's got no response to that on the exit. So that was a good decision. Although I have lost touch with Ed Bars a little bit there. But moving further forward, you can see I didn't really have the pace of the front 4 guys anyway in this race. They are starting to battle here, which is bringing me back into it, as Ed and Rob Newman have got past Sam Lovelace. And Dante Dillon has cleared off at the front, but I'm coming back into it slightly here. And we are going to see if we can make any inroads on the top 4. Right behind Sam here. But you'll be able to see over the next lap or so that I just couldn't keep with them coming out of the corners. Like, Sam gets it slightly sideways there. But I've still lost a bit of time to him. And as I say, you'll be able to see coming out that I do lose a slight bit of time, I would say, out of the hairpins. And yeah, there you can see him pulling away down the hill. But I was back in the top 5, so it was a positive. And at this point, I'll give a shout out to my intimidator friend James Whitaker, who made his debut at this round. I managed to get P7, which was absolutely massive result considering that it was his first ever sprint round. So fair play to him. But we are going to skip forward to the last lap of the race here because nothing really happened from that point on. I did get dropped, and to be honest, I wasn't that far away. It's not as deceiving as it looks, this gap at the moment, but it sort of got to the point where I had no one behind me, I had no one in front of me that I could really compete with. Like, I was losing a small amount every lap. So the last couple of laps I kind of just got bored, honestly. Like, I knew I wasn't going to make any inroads on the top 4. I knew I wasn't going to lose 5th, so I was kind of just driving around. But sometimes you just have to take it like that, and I'm going to finish 5th place here at Whilton, which was a good step back at the front after a shocking round the previous event. So we will take that, and going into the last round with the top 5 finish. So that's lovely. As you can see from that picture there, I was kind of like, oh well, I tried. But yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. Decent result overall, and we did get a win somehow in one of the heats. So yeah, not too bad of a day, and I'll catch you at the next round, Bookmore, which is a good one, so stay tuned for that. But thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.